Channel 2 News, St. Louis.
The world over, millions of believers celebrate one of the most important holidays of the Christian faith, Easter, the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Here at Grace World Outreach Center in Maryland Heights, more than 5,000 gathered to sing and praise. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Rochelle.
And I'm Don Johnson. 3 Lutheran churches in St. Louis gave themselves an Easter present this morning, unification. Mount Calvary Lutheran Church and Lutheran Church of Our Savior and Pilgrim Congregation held services as one church for the first time today in a North St. Louis building. Each church had a small congregation, and this consolidation brings total membership now to only 200.
Easter sunrise services were held all across the country, including this one on Stone Mountain, Georgia, outdoors with worshipers on the ground. And in California, President Reagan worshiped this Easter at a small church near his ranch, the first time he's gone to church in 15 months.
In Rome, 200,000 people crowded into St. Peter's Square for the formal Easter blessings of Pope John Paul II. The pontiff delivered his message to the gathering in 50 languages. Somewhere in the crowd was U.S. Secretary of State George Shultz and his wife. Pope John Paul implored the world to reject what he called modern man's litany of death, including war, terrorism, abortion, hatred, and human rights abuse.
In other news tonight, a prison siege in Buffalo, New York is now over. Today, 3 inmates held another prisoner hostage for more than 4 hours. The inmates cut the hostage with a homemade spear before authorities surrounded them. The inmates then gave up their demand, which was a flight to Libya.
James Cagney, one of Hollywood's all-time greatest movie stars, is dead at the age of 86. One of the most popular faces he was affiliated with, was with that phrase, "You dirty rat." ABC's Jed Rose looks at Cagney's career.
He was, said a friend, just an old song and dance man gone wrong. And that he was. But Jimmy Cagney went wrong just right. He was cool and cruel and cocky. But what made him a star wasn't a slap or a shrug, but a citrus massage. That scene, that one scene, made Cagney an overnight sensation. Fans flocked to the theaters to see this movie anti-hero, this street tough rebelling against a society where all the promises were empty. Cagney was nominated for an Oscar, but he didn't win one until 4 years later.
My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. And I thank you.
Destined to be Cagney's favorite and his most famous film, Yankee Doodle was a dandy.
Yankee Doodle came to London just to ride the ponies. I am that Yankee Doodle boy.
As the 1950s ended, Cagney's interest in acting was dwindling, and in 1961, he starred in 1, 2, 3, and then retired to his farm for 20 years until he was lured back by the melody of ragtime. He would return to the screen once more in a TV film, but his last years were mainly a time of tributes. From the Kennedy Center to the American Film Institute to the Night of 1,000 Stars, where Broadway gave its regards to him. Big shot and bully, soldier and sailor, pilot and playboy and public enemy. In the end, Jimmy Cagney was bigger than any one of his roles, for they might fade away, but who would ever forget that look and that walk, or the guts and the grin and the grace of the song and dance man who went wrong and made it to the top of the world. Jud Rose, ABC News, Hollywood.
And Cagney never actually said, "You dirty rat." We'll be back with more news in a moment.
Hi, everybody. Your old friend Uncle Leonard's here at Leonard's TV. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary. We got a great deal for you on our Panasonic video recorders. We got portables, cameras. We got a terrific deal. Not only will you get a terrific deal, but you'll get a lifetime free membership in Uncle Leonard's Video Movie Club. Come in, check our low prices and our hundreds of movie titles. Thank you.
Hurry in and celebrate our 37th anniversary with your friends at Leonard's TV.
hi, Sue.
Oh, hi, Barb.
How is California?
Expensive.
Oh, did you hear how much Don Johnson makes? The man he's buying?
Yes, can you believe that? Must be nice.
Really?
Oh, did you hear who's new on Dynasty?
No.
Ted McGinley.
From the Love Boat? Oh.
Well, ladies, that's nothing compared to what I heard about Linda
Where did
Evans.
you read that?
We didn't read it. We saw it on Entertainment Tonight.
Moving to 6:30 Monday, March 31st, only on Channel 2.
Happy Easter from the folks at Channel 2.
Are you a registered nurse no longer active in your profession? Thinking about returning to nursing? The personal satisfaction is waiting for you. The advanced technology is waiting. The financial rewards are waiting. The Hospital Association, an organization of local hospitals, can help you return to nursing. Call 421-3415 during regular business hours.
Tuesday is Election Day in St. Louis County, and supporters of a tax increase for the special school district are working hard for victory. Today at a news conference, County Executive Gene McNary urged voters to go to the polls and vote yes in favor of that tax increase.
We're looking for people who care about these special children, who know the success that the special school district has had in the past in training and educating special children so that they can be productive and creative, self-sustaining human beings.
A number of parents also are on hand. They voiced their praise for the efforts of the special school district, and they expressed their hopes that the district will be here in the future to help others.
Down in St. Charles County, the issue before voters is a proposal which would establish a community college. Supporters of that measure say if the college gets the go-ahead, it could bring as much as $5 million into the community by creating more jobs. Russ Mitchell has that story.
According to state officials, St. Charles County is the fastest growing county in the state, and analysts expect the trend to continue well into the next decade.
We believe that there's an educational ladder that presently exists in St. Charles County with St. Mary's, Lindenwood colleges, the 5 school districts, and we believe one rung is missing, and that rung's a community college. So
Don Otto is chairman of a group trying to bring a community college to St. Charles County. This Tuesday, voters will consider a tax levy to finance the project. The tax would be no more than 10 cents per $100 of property valuation. For example, a resident with a $50,000 home would pay an additional $9.50 a year. If approved, the community college would initially be housed in an existing building somewhere in the county. The site has not been chosen. The startup cost will approach $2.5 million, but county officials say in a few years, the school could bring into the county more than $5 million a year.
The state of Missouri tells us that it could have 2,000 students when we open the doors for the college. Obviously, it would bring jobs for teachers and administrators. If in future years there was construction, we'd have to build things. All of those would contribute to jobs.
St. Charles County voters rejected a similar proposal in the mid-1970s, but folks here say this time things are different.
You know, if you go back and look at the growth between then and now, and I think it's an attitude of people.
Another difference between this election and the proposal presented in the mid-70s is this time there is no organized opposition. Supporters say if the tax hike is approved, St. Charles Community College could hold its first day of classes in about a year and a half. Russ Mitchell, Channel 2 News, St. Charles.
St. Louis gets an evening newspaper again starting tomorrow. The first edition of the St. Louis Daily News will contain 40 pages. The full-color tabloid will cost a dime and will be published weekday evenings. St. Louis' 2 other papers, the Post and the Globe, are published in the morning. Lori is here to tell us there are changes in store for our really good weather.
As long as it's not snow, we can probably bear with it.
Not snow, just some very mild temperatures and possibly a cooling trim. Now, if you're doing any traveling tomorrow, these temperatures are what you'll run into, but even warmer here in St. Louis. I'll tell you about it coming up next.
On the next MASH,
I am Zoltan, king of the gypsies. I think he's onto something good here.
Klinger tries a new scheme to get sent home while a hospital at the front faces an emergency.
They're up to their scalpels and casualties. They need our help.
Take a ride into danger with Hawkeye and Colonel Potter.
A lot of people bleeding to death up there, Sergeant. Captain Pierce and I are surgeons. We're going in.
Going in isn't the problem, Colonel. Getting out is.
On the next MASH.
It's MASH, Monday at 10:30 on Channel 2.
Look, I've lived with the fact for years that he's been having an affair.
After the kid was born, it seemed the romance went out of our marriage.
All he had to do was talk about it.
She didn't want to hear about it.
The late nights, the lies.
The yelling, the constant fights.
Our dreams turned to nightmares.
Look, I had no choice.
In a courtroom just like this, I preside over hundreds of divorce cases each year. And you're invited to join me each weekday afternoon at 3 on Channel 2 for Divorce Court.
Are you ignoring persistent joint pain? I'm Meredith Baxter Burney, alerting you that it may be rheumatoid arthritis. This disease is not only a problem of old age. In fact, it usually strikes those in the prime of life between 25 and 55. Unfortunately, more than half ignore the early symptoms and don't seek medical help. If you're one of them, you risk permanent joint damage. Medications are now available to relieve the pain and swelling of rheumatoid arthritis. Some even slow or halt the disease, but you must seek help for early diagnosis. Symptoms include pain and swelling in more than one joint, in a symmetrical pattern, for example, both wrists, stiffness in the morning that lasts for hours, and weight loss and fatigue. If you've had these symptoms for 6 weeks or more, see your doctor or nearest office of the Arthritis Foundation. There is hope for people with rheumatoid arthritis, so don't ignore the early warning signs.
We all know about the custom of handing out chocolate eggs to children around Easter time, maybe even Easter morning. But there's another eating custom on this day that has the adults Googling just about as much as the children. And that is the Sunday brunch. Rocky Madden has more.
While the Easter Bunny was making final rounds, people in the St. Louis area today were filling up on Sunday brunch.
People in the buffet business say this is one of the busiest days of the year, second only to Mother's Day.
Hotels like the Chase Park Plaza put on huge spreads, complete with seafood, salads, and a variety of entrees.
Hold up on the fish. We got enough fish for Friday.
At the Omni Hotel, the kitchen was hopping. The breads were baking, and the baker was busy icing the Danish. Executive Chef Robin Haas says they prepared enough food to serve 1,400 people.
We have probably 1,000 pounds of bacon, 600 pounds of sausage, probably roughly 1,500 pounds of beef, about 800 pounds of seafood, 900 pounds of seafood.
He says they began planning for this brunch 3 weeks ago. Dozens of people spent long hours making it all work.
Relieved, satisfied. It all got off, it started on time. It looks very good, the people are happy, it's a good experience, and we go on to the next one.
Hotel officials say they only earn about a 10% profit on the Sunday brunch, but they add it gives them a chance to show off what the hotel can do, and they hope encourage more business in the future. For customers, the Sunday brunch offers a break from the routine grind.
Not having to cook. I do that every day of the week. So this is a special day not to have to do that.
To top it all off, trays and trays of desserts, if you're still hungry.
There's not enough room.
Rocky Madden, Channel 2 News.
I wish I had a dime for every food story we did in these newscasts. Let me tell you, we'd all be rich.
Or they could come in and just cater the newsroom.
And then we'd all be fat, wouldn't we? Let's talk about weather.
Okay, well, we do have some warm weather on tap again for tomorrow. A slight cooling trend is in the forecast and possibly some showers, but today was gorgeous, 86 degrees. We did break our record high. That was some measly 83 degrees. Our morning low was at 60, no precipitation at all. And right now, clear skies, temperatures still very mild at 70 degrees. Winds are calm. The humidity is low at 44%, and the barometric pressure holding steady at 30.04. Look around the neighborhood network. Still pretty mild outside. So Ladue is the chilly spot right now at 57 degrees, 61 over in St. Charles, 60 down in High Ridge, 65 over in Hartford, 68 in Belleville, and 66 degrees in Troy. Straight to the point for you. Another warm day is in store for us. How warm? Well, we're expecting temperature readings into the 80s once again across our area. You can see they're stretching pretty much over into parts of central Missouri and back right over into the southeast. 70s over into the northern quarter and also stretching over into the western section, but still will be a very nice day and a pretty dry day. Maybe a little bit of rain sneaking into the extreme northwestern section of the state. In fact, that is where some clouds are moving right now. Just some very, very high thin clouds, not affecting us at all. No precipitation in it. Let's take a look at some of the clouds in motion earlier today, and you can see where most of the cloudiness, the bright clouds with a few showers in it, stretching from parts of New Mexico and spanning all over into the Rockies. Also a few rain showers located right down there around the tip of Florida. And to further illustrate that, here on the current Skywatch radar, you can see some rain showers down there in Miami. They picked up as much as 2.5 inches of rain earlier today. That's for all those people who decided to escape the cool weather they thought was going to happen right here in St. Louis. More showers spreading over into the Idaho area and stretching all down to Salt Lake City, over into the panhandle of Texas as well. I'm putting all this together for you. High pressures right over there into the southeast. This is the frontal system that will begin to approach us by tomorrow, and as it moves right on over towards us, we're expecting to see, well, a bit cooler weather and also a chance for a little bit of rain sneaking over into parts of Iowa and stretching over into the northwestern section of the state. Now, this should not happen until late tomorrow night, because by Tuesday, this is the greater chance of rain over into the St. Louis area and stretching over into the bi-state area, all the way up into the Midwest, with a few flurries to be noted right up there into the Canadian provinces. Now, the cooler air, though, will be pushing right behind that cold front, but it really won't make a very big difference. We're expecting temperatures in the 80s tomorrow, dropping down into the 70s, and still will remain at least 10 degrees above normal throughout the week. The forecast for tonight calls for clear skies and a low of 57 degrees, and then for tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. Winds out of the south bringing some more warm air towards us, 10 to 20 miles per hour, and a high of 85 degrees. The record for tomorrow is 87. For tomorrow night, partly cloudy conditions, a low of 58 degrees. On Tuesday, partly cloudy, chance for some showers to develop, and a high of 75. There you see the cooler weather. And then on the extended outlook, Wednesday, a chance of showers developing, partly cloudy again, a high of 69. On Thursday, partly cloudy again, 66 degrees. And the sunrise reading, in case you have to get up at 5:48 in the morning, the temperature reading right around there will be 59 degrees. Greg is over there going, no, 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 no.
He'll do it someday. We'll get him out of bed one way or another.
Okay.
Thanks, Laurie. Don.
Okay, Greg.
5:48 a.m. No way.
Well, sports guys don't get up at that hour.
That's right. We don't get up there.
Listen, it's spring training is winding down now, and just a little over a week, all this gets for real, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I'm getting excited, too.
So am I.
We've got Cardinal highlights from this afternoon when we come back.
Hi, St. Louis. Your old buddy Uncle Leonard's here. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary. If you need a new TV, but money is tight, we got a great deal for you. Here's a beautiful 25-inch Panasonic console for only $495. If you got an old TV, you can use it for a trade-in. If you got an old mother-in-law, you can use her for a trade-in. We got easy financing, free delivery, free service for 1 year. Come and help us celebrate our 35th anniversary. You'll thank me. You'll bless me.
Since 1976, thousands of women have sought individual or group counseling from the Women's Self-Help Center, a not-for-profit agency distinguished for its sensitivity to the plight of the battered or sexually abused woman. If you need help or know someone who does, call the center's confidential hotline right now. Help yourself. Call 531-2003. 531-2003. Call now.
It's one of those days when everything goes wrong. It starts off bad and gets worse all day long. It's one of those days when you catch the blame for things you didn't do. It's one of those days when you need a friend to pull you through. Bad days need good friends like you.
Adopt your own good friend today.
Older children need families, too. Give a kid the future.
We all know who Neil Allen was, or whatever. We all know who Keith Hernandez is, but there's a guy who was in that trade named Rick Ownby, and today he did some things that
they made it pay off.
That's right. He was kind of a forgotten man in that trade. He was the third guy, but, you know, the Cardinals are still waiting for him to come around. Maybe this is his year. We'll find out. Rick Ownby may have pitched himself onto the Cardinals staff today as the Redbirds knocked off the Dodgers at Vero Beach 7-1. Ownby, fighting for a spot on the 24-man roster, pitched 6 innings, allowed only 1 hit and 1 unearned run. In the opening inning, Terry Pendleton was jammed on this pitch, but he was able to bloop a double down the line, scoring Lawless. Pendleton checks into second, later scored from third on a Jack Clark groundout. Now, third inning, Jerry White hits this long home run, but do you notice anything strange or different? Well, at Dodgertown and Vero Beach, there is no outfield wall or fence, only the warning track. So if you hit a fly ball over the warning track on a fly, that constitutes a home run. Here's another good example. Long fly ball. John Morris with a great catch. Watch this. He almost runs over that little kid deep in right center field. It turned out to be a long sacrifice fly for Mike Scioscia. Greg Brock scores from third. It turned out to be the only Dodger run. 7-1 the final. Ownby with 6 strong innings, allowing only 1 hit. He had a no-hitter going through 5. The Cardinals now 10-10 this spring. Former Cardinals pitcher Pete Vukovich announced his retirement today after 11 seasons in the big leagues, the last 5 with the Milwaukee Brewers. Vukovich was sidelined with injuries for most of the time since winning the Cy Young Award in 1982. Well, both the Steamers and Blues were off tonight, but there were a few games played in the NHL. First of all, up in Chicago, good news for St. Louis fans. The Chicago Blackhawks are losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-2 midway in the third period. So if this score holds up, the Hawks will remain 2 points ahead of the third-place Blues and only 1 point ahead of the second-place North Stars. 4-2, Toronto beating Chicago midway in the third period. That game up in Chicago. And Boston got past Buffalo 5-3. In this game, with the score 1-1 second period, John Tucker scores from in the slot, giving the Sabres a 2-1 lead. Midway in the period, Barry Peterson on a nice passing play, the Bruins on a power play. This tied it at 2, and then 40 seconds later, Michael Telvin puts the Bruins in front for good as Boston goes out and beats Buffalo tonight 5-3, the final in that one. Also, Calgary and Vancouver, 2-2 second period. Joe Mullen with his 40th goal of the season in that one. Duke has been installed a 1-point favorite over Louisville in tomorrow's NCAA basketball championship game. The Blue Devils, who have won 21 straight, will be trying for their first ever NCAA title, although they've been to the championship game twice before. Louisville, which has a 16-game winning streak, has one NCAA title. That was won back in 1980. University of Texas, in white, clobbered Southern Cal 97-81 to win the NCAA women's basketball crown. The victory capped a perfect season. The Lady Longhorns finished 34-0. Freshman Clarissa Davis scored 24 points, hauled down 14 rebounds, and was named the tournament's most valuable player. The football Cardinals will open a 3-day mini-camp at Busch Stadium beginning Tuesday. It'll be the first meeting for new head coach Gene Stallings and the entire squad. Meanwhile, running back Stump Mitchell hopes to set up a meeting with the team regarding his contract demands. Mitchell became a free agent after last season and remains unsigned. He reportedly has been offered a deal with the Memphis Showboats of the USFL. Boris Becker upset top-seeded Yvonne Lendl today in the finals of the Volvo Tennis Classic in Chicago. The scores were 7-6 and 6-3. And Ken Flack and Robert Seguso, formerly of Southern Illinois University, took the doubles title. Former WBC junior lightweight boxing champion Cornelius Boza Edwards battled to a 10-round draw this afternoon with Terrence Ali. The 29-year-old Boza Edwards is now 44-5-1. Larry Mize missed his par putt on the 18th, but John Mahaffey made his to win the TPC golf tournament by 1 stroke. They had been tied for the lead going into the final hole. For the win, Mahaffey took home $162,000. And that's going to do it in sports for this Sunday evening. Have you ever seen Dodgertown before without a outfield fence?
That really amazed me. I'd never seen anything like that before, except at Fairgrounds Park, where I played.
It's like street ball, you know. If you hit it over the garbage can, that's a double. If you hit it past the car, that's a home run.
I like it. Maybe they'll build a fence next year. Still ahead, Easter on parade.
And they're dressed in more than just bonnets. A glimpse coming up ahead.
Ron Yaros on tornado safety.
When a tornado threatens, seconds mean life or death. We're the only station with our own color radar, which gives us a close-up look at those approaching storms. We also use our volunteer network, and if a tornado is sighted, Channel 2 is the only place you'll find a continuous display of the county affected. We do all of this so our viewers don't waste time waiting for information. We give every tornado warning top priority.
Ron Yaros, only on Channel 2 News.
I guess they just remind me of when I was growing up.
M&M